With what seems like nothing more than a flip of a switch, BSG has changed Tarkov overnight. Now, Thursday morning, BSG tweeted out that they changed several parameters in the game. And these parameters are ones that every player is going to feel the very first time they play after these changes take effect. Then, Friday morning, we get a massive patch that's going to address tons of issues, bugs, problems, and all the stuff we've been dealing with since the start of the wipe. Now, as of reading this, the servers are still down. I haven't had a chance to play with the update yet, but I have had a chance to play with the changes they made Thursday morning. Now, as Friday goes through, we get some game time. We'll figure out what they fixed, what they didn't fix, maybe new bugs that are broken or things that are cropped up that we couldn't see before because of the other bugs. We'll get all that later, but I need some time with the game. We don't have that yet. But I can do a quick rundown of what BSG changed Thursday, as I got a bunch of time play testing it, if you will, and just general testing done in the hideout with Recoil, as well as go over the patch notes of what we can expect to see. So here's the tweet from BSG. It says they have made several balancing changes. They reduced the recoil angle for all weapons. They reduced the stamina penalty when hit by any type of ammo. They increased the weight limit while overweight. They reduced the stamina consumption of various in various cases, as far as like this basically has to do with like standing, crouching, how you change stances, stuff like that, and decrease the energy and water consumption rate. And then lastly, they greatly reduced the penalties from armored rigs and body armor. Now, you may think the recoil is the most massive change here, and I'm going to tell you right now, it's not, at least in my opinion. In fact, I'm going to talk a little bit later about why I think the recoil change isn't anywhere near enough and doesn't fix what I think are the actual major problems with Tarkov's recoil right now. The major changes, though, that are going to affect everybody no matter what, are the stamina and weight changes. These will, from the second you get into raid, change the way the game feels to you. The TLDR here is our PMCs are going to move faster, they're going to be able to run farther, and they're going to be more mobile than they've been in probably a year and a half, and maybe even longer. So now actions burn less stamina. So the action of, it doesn't matter if you're sprinting, the act of crouching or standing back up, going prone or standing from prone, all of those are going to burn less stamina, including jumping and sprinting. Also included is the stamina burn from being shot. It's basically a percentage of the damage of the ammo. Some are higher or lower. All of these got reduced by a lot, almost half. So when you get shot, it's not going to burn up stamina nearly as fast as it did before. It's almost unnoticeable. It's still there, but it's not the thing you're paying attention to. And you'll be able to get away from fights as you're being shot rather than just getting stuck, kind of glued to the ground. Then we have weight limits. These have also been significantly increased. Not a small amount, a lot. The base weight at level 1 when you first load in was 21. That's where you'd go from underweight to overweight, or your weight would turn to yellow. That is now 26. Before these changes, at level 45 strength, I was overweight at like 23 and a half, 24 kilos. This puts you at the start even more so than where you were at max strength. Like, for example, for right now, on my character, my strength's at 45. I don't roll over into overweight until like 33.1 kilos or a little bit over there. And then the very overweight stat where it turns to red, that has been bumped from 62 to 67. On my character, it's now 85 with my strength, which is going to be higher than that when I get max strength. This means that you're going to be able to carry more overall just going into raid, as well as movement, and everything's going to be better as you loot up. And then when you're headed out of raid, you're going to have more loot than you've been able to carry in a very long time. I was running SA-58s today with tons of ammo, heavy armor, backpacks, helmets, the whole 9 yards, and I was underweight going into raid. That isn't something that's been happening for a very, very long time. And as if this wasn't enough, on top of all of this, the penalties for armor, basically all your gear, have been massively reduced. So the things like turn speeds kind of pretty much stayed the same on everything, I think, but the ergo hit and your movement speed hits, most of them look like they've been cut in half, if not more. So even some of the armors that I never touched, like Baggerly's, now become viable and are something I'll wear because they just aren't super cumbersome anymore. Now, a small addition, at least what appears to be small, and I think is actually a huge quality of life change, is the consumption rate of energy and hydration. Now, while this might not seem like a big deal and people might not realize it, this is going to reduce how much food you have to worry about in raid. And I think that's a good thing. I like the fact that you kind of have to worry about food and water, especially if you're using a lot of pain pills or you get into a fight. just adds a little bit extra dynamic. But the fact that it turned into a chore where you were having to bring sometimes 2 things to eat and 2 things to drink just to get through a whole raid, even if you didn't get into a fight, that looks like it's gone away, which I think is a really good change. Now for recoil, I'm gonna play some B-roll of me shooting the various guns after the changes so you can see what they look like. These aren't all meta guns. Some are really close, some are just my personal favorites, but they're all pretty good builds. The 2 adjustments we got were about 9 hours apart. The first one was a reduction in the recoil angle for all weapons. This is also known as dispersion. You might hear this talked about elsewhere. And it's actually a pretty complex variable, but a simple way to think of it is that dispersion is a randomization of the angle, the angle of the movement of the gun when you fire. So when you shoot and it kicks up, it's going to move a little bit left and right in an angle. That angle is what dispersion is, and it's random essentially. So what you end up with is this random bouncing around of the gun left and right. So reducing dispersion means the guns tighten up and they feel a little bit less random. Again, this is an oversimplification, and it doesn't pan out this simply on all guns, but it just gives you an idea. And what we're seeing because of this is some weapons like the Scar, they have this really odd vertical recoil now with very little side to side, almost like they're pinned on a rail. It's noticeable vertical recoil, but it just doesn't move left and right. But then guns like the MCX that aren't as aggressive as they used to be, but they still bounce all over the place. Now the second change we got was camera recoil. This is a visual change, but one that is meaningful nonetheless. This is how your camera moves around while you're shooting, but it doesn't actually affect the spray pattern directly. It can indirectly affect it because you might be trying to adjust your recoil based on what you're seeing, and what you're seeing isn't necessarily representative of what your gun's doing. So this camera recoil is probably one that players feel the most when they change it. So all in all, these changes move the entire spectrum of guns, the recoil down. It's like grabbing a slider on like a global status of all recoil and just reducing it. So this is going to make every gun feel a little bit better than it did before. And this is a good thing. I think this is good progress. But since they did this with all guns, it means that the gaps between guns are still there. That hasn't changed. The really good guns got better, and the really bad guns got manageable or maybe okay. Now, as a side note, I want to mention that the mounted MGs recoil was affected by this too, and I think it's mostly on the camera recoil side because it still jumps around like it's mounted on a broomstick or hanging from a string or something, but at least the camera stays fixed, which makes it a lot easier to control. But back to the other recoil, the RD704, for example, it was already very good, and now it's only better. And this is my main gripe. And honestly, one that I hope will get addressed with future changes. Because this gap hasn't changed, some SMGs still feel like crap. Meta M4s and 5.45 AKs feel great now. They're not overpowered, they're not laser beams, but they still feel good. And I think that is probably the best place they've been sitting in since I've ever played the game. However, lots of guns still don't. They don't feel good. The MCX is still miserable to shoot. Aiming the MP9 when you're full autoing is like trying to baptize a cat, and the PP19 jumps around more than its 5.45 counterparts. Other positives, though, are that the semi-auto feels really crisp and good. You can shoot and maintain your sight picture on your targets and not completely lose what you're looking at because the recoil and the scope's jumping all over the place. So again, semi-auto fire feels much better and is much more accurate. So again, overall, this change is great. Especially for the quality of life of players. I just hope this isn't a once and done thing. There needs to be more tweaks done to the individual guns or even the classes of guns and make things a little bit different. Right now, this almost feels like just a blanket fix to get everybody to stop freaking out over the game. And while I don't want to take that away, I don't want to revert these changes. I just hope that we don't stay where we're at, because I don't think where we're at's a good place yet. I think it's a right move in the right direction, but guns like the RD need to be pulled back, and guns like the MP5 need a little bit of love, and the MCX needs a lot of love. Now, don't get me wrong, I still run all of them, regardless of how good or bad I don't run the good ones. I hate the RD, but I run all the bad ones just to have fun, try different builds, and do different things. And I still win my fair share of fights with them. That's not my gripe. I just wish that they would make more guns more viable so we saw more of them around in the world. And I think that just makes a better gaming experience for all of us. And really, it doesn't matter if you're coming at this from a realism or a game balance perspective. SMGs should not be harder to control than assault rifles or even light machine guns. So fingers crossed, this is setting up the groundwork for more positive changes to come. Now, for the patch, I'm sure many of you are eager about this. We'll put a link down below in the description for the patch notes so you can look at them yourself. But we'll read over them here, and I'll provide some comments where I can on what I know what's going on. All right, so starting off, we got adjusted the server system to reduce the rubber banding and desync on the Streets of Tarkov location. Huge. So hopefully this makes it to where raids in the daytime are actually playable, because before they really weren't. You were all over the place. It wasn't a ton of fun, to the point where I wouldn't play day raids anymore. I would only play at night. They also mentioned numerous geometry and lighting fixes on the Streets of Tarkov location. I didn't notice a ton of these, but I didn't do a ton of exploring either. So I'm hoping this just makes the gaming experience better all over for everybody. Fixed issues that led to duplication, stuttering, and lack of some sounds with binaural audio enabled. This is a really complicated thing. I don't know exactly what this means. There's so many bugs with audio right now that even fixing little things might open up other problems we didn't even know were there because they were covered up by these. Either way, this is a move in the right direction. Also talks about fixing missing sounds of the airplanes and the airdrops in some cases, which is good. As much as the airdrops kind of suck because they're super loud, it also sucks having airdrops fly overhead and not even know they were there, and the crates doing goofy stuff. It just breaks the immersion. So it's good. I'm glad this is being fixed. They also are fixing missing sounds of weapon interactions when the volume of the interface sound is set to 0. Fixed missing bush and containers search sounds with binaural audio enabled. Fixed incorrect volume of footstep sounds during crouching and standing movement. This is it. This is sneak. This is what I did the video about. Some people didn't think that there was sneak, or that they took it out on purpose. This just goes to show you that we're getting sneak back. And with the strength changes we talked about before, people are going to be able to sneak around a lot more. And it's going to really change the way the game plays and feels, because we've all kind of gotten used to the way patch 13 is, and it's going to completely change. It's literally going to change overnight, and it's going to leave a lot of people spinning their heads and not. You're going to see as much good as bad comments about this, I think, because people just aren't used to it. They're also fixing some issues with Gym with third-party overlays enabled. So this is part of the NVIDIA's thing that was keeping you from able to do your Gym correctly. So make sure if you've been having trouble with that, check it in the morning, see if it's working for you now, and you can start doing that. They're also fixing the incorrect version of the muscle pain status. It's good. That's bugged. I've had it bugged. I've had it not bugged. It's gone back and forth. Just kind of is what it is. They're fixing incorrect weapon sounds for the Chopper Rhino, the RSH-12, Benelli M3, AIXMC, SR2M, M203 underbarrel, and the GP25 underbarrel grenade launchers. So I didn't notice a ton of this. I noticed a little bit. Wasn't anything crazy. It's getting fixed. That's great. They also they're fixing the incorrect weight for several items. I didn't notice this. If you did, throw comments down below. If there's some items that were underweight, they're going to be overweight now, or items that were really heavy that shouldn't have been. I don't know. I didn't notice this, but obviously there were some in there. They fixed incorrect durability of weapons on rogue bosses. So I'm thinking this is putting it where the scavs are at, because I saw people were still complaining that rogue bosses had broken guns. So maybe this is going to be like scavs are now, where the guns they're at like 20 or 30 durability, but you can repair them up to like 95-ish or whatever it is. They're also fixing incorrect conditions for the unlocking of customization options from Ragman. I'm guessing that has to do with the clothing. That probably wasn't unlocking properly or something. Fixed incorrect calculation of skills and quest rewards. This is huge. I've burned my quests up. I'm screwed. I'm betting we don't get these back. But if you were waiting to turn in Mentor, Psycho Sniper, all of those were not giving you as much as they said. It was broken. So now it's fixed. So I would wait until somebody tests it, wait for somebody else to be the guinea pig, but we'll see if you're getting correct skill points turning these in now. Moving on down, we've got fix the ability to apply the effects of some consumable without losing them. Don't know, it sounds like some kind of exploit people were using, whatever. Fix the ability to level up skills above level 50. So we talked about this. Skills were getting stuck at 50, you were still getting the bonuses, but it wasn't showing. So I don't know what's gonna happen. You might log in and all of a sudden be 51, great. Otherwise you might have to progress. We'll have to see, but it's fixed, it looks like. Looks like they fixed several visual artifacts on the Streets of Tarkov. These I did notice, so it'll be nice to see those fixed. Immersion breaking and all that stuff. Fixed incorrect player spawn positions on the Street of Tarkov location. So I don't know what this means. Is there some of the spots we've all been spawning in and then the spot was wrong? Is there places where people were spawning underground or something maybe? I don't know. I didn't experience any of the latter one, but there's definitely some of the spawns that I feel could be adjusted, because you're literally fighting. It's worse than the worst days of reserve or interchange, where you're fighting within 10 seconds of spawning if you're not paying attention. So we'll see what that brings and changes. Fixed incorrect condition for Jaeger to buy weapons from players. Small issue. I found workaways arounds to it, but it's fixed now, so that's good. Fix the incorrect tooltip for unsellable items when switching between screens. This is where that big thing would freeze on your screen saying what the trader wouldn't buy. So really annoying, easy fix with the alt tab and stuff, but at least it's getting fixed now. Fixed incorrect visuals of NVGs and thermals when changing screen resolutions and switching to full screen mode. No idea what this was. Whoever figured this out, it must have been an exploit or something that broke the game. I didn't see this anywhere, but it's fixed if you had to deal with it. Fixed the lack of durability loss when repairing some weapons with repair kits. Fixed the incorrectly working D2 exit on reserve location. That's good. So hopefully, if with that being fixed, hopefully a lot of the others are fixed, like the alarm on reserve, the extracts on reserve, I think the garages on labs were even bugging out sometimes, like the garage door doesn't open up right away. Hopefully that gets fixed with this, even though it's not named. It was all part of the same problem. Fixing the soft lock that appeared while interacting with some weapons. Fix the incorrect calculation of the physical skills level bonus from the air filter unit in the hideout. All right, so finally we have the air filter fixed. I think we will test it tomorrow. We will check, we will see what happens and go forward from there. Fingers crossed though, it's finally fixed. So you're probably gonna see air filters go through the roof. Fixed incorrect skill point calculation when using the gym in the hideout. So people apparently were getting skill reduced when they use the hideout, which is funny. It's not funny. I'm sorry if it happened to you, but hopefully that's fixed now. Fixed several bugs in the dialogue system when interacting with Lightkeeper. I haven't been there yet. I don't know anything about this. I haven't looked at it on purpose because I don't want spoilers, but that's fixed. That's great. Fixed incorrect spawnings for rogues. Don't know much about that. Fixed the incorrect display of objectives for Lightkeeper quests while in raid. Again, more Lightkeeper stuff. I haven't experienced it yet. I've gotten just to the start of Lightkeeper tasks, so can't give you any information there because I don't want to spoil it for myself either. Fixed incorrect positions for Xerxes guards. I've seen some screenshots and stuff of his guards being in kind of weird clippy places. Maybe that's what it is, or maybe they were spawning in places that were too easy to kill. I don't know. If you're one of those guys that's going out there and killing his guards and doing stuff, be warned, they may be moved now. They also fixed the incorrect behavior of the co-op mod settings interface when switching between screens. I ran into this a couple of times. Not a huge deal. Nice to have it fixed though. Fixed the missing localization of some interface elements while in raid. Not 100% sure what this means. I didn't notice anything out the bat, but as most of you guys are, when it comes to bugs and things with Tarkov, I'm pretty thick-skinned. There's stuff that I don't even notice anymore that's a bug, so that could be it. Added a new 556 by 45 muzzle brake. Can't wait to see what that is. And they fixed incorrect camera behavior while aiming with the Chiava Rhino 200DS. Hadn't used that yet. If you noticed it, hey, it's fixed. So that's it, guys. That's all of the changes. Go check them out for yourself. Read them if you want to. Again, link will be down in the description. But if you can't tell, I'm tired already. It's a long day for me. I'm going to go to bed after this. Church is going to get the video edited. We'll get it up for you as soon as we can. Appreciate you guys watching. Super excited for this week and this weekend. I think it's going to be a new age for Tarkov, but we'll see. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. I wish you the best of luck in your raids, and we'll see you guys in Tarkov.